What's up, everybody? Welcome to the only post-NFL draft show you need to watch, the All About the Birds weekly report. This is where, we're going to just break down the NFL draft, but the Eagles draft specifically. We've all touched on it on our individual shows a little bit, and I know everybody else's shows are doing it, but we've really got to get down and dirty and deep into what this draft class really means for the Eagles. I've got a lot of great comments on Twitter this week leading up to the show. A lot of your comments and concerns. Make sure you join in the comments sections. Before we get into our sponsors, I am Phil Stiefel from All About the Birds, joined by NFL Jeff Warner. We got Johnny Yu, Mr. Video himself, and Chip Keggy right over there sporting a great jersey just like me. I'm not going to spin in my chair. I got the Sugar Shane Falco, one of our great sponsors, 99 Jersey. The show is brought to you by them, 99jersey.com. Use promo code AATBirds at checkout for 20% off. They got so many great jerseys. Cannot wait to get my hands on one of their Kobe Bryant Lower Merion jerseys. That's the next one on my –
I got one. It's beautiful.
It's next on my get list. Some of our other great sponsors that we have on this show, got to share their names out for everybody. Hang in there with us real quick. Statement Games. It's a fun new twist on fantasy sports. Make sure you check them out, statementgames.com. There's a link to them and our next sponsor, OddsJam, in the info section of these video, oddsjam.com. They use an arbitrage calculator, helps you not lose, helps you guarantee wins when you're betting on the sports books. Obviously, manscaped.com, because your balls will thank you and your wives will thank you as well. I know Jen is always thanking Jeff for his Manscaped usage. And, of course, the greatest place to shop, aatbirds.com/shop, where we've got lots of great designs. For my Fairway to Heaven fans, the 5th place female design is still out there. It's a really cool design. You have to watch the Fairway to Heaven show to understand that one. Chipper.
I got one more that we got to share. My friends, it is this week. It is happening. You must go to NHL.com/MVT to vote for Don Conaway. Right now, do it. You can vote through your phone, through your email, through Twitter. You can vote through your device multiple times. It's just this week. It is not, I'm not joking you. 2 clicks.
I the link. A specific question on this, okay? Because I can't think of it off the top of my head because I forgot to put it in my little notebook tonight. Mm-hmm. Isn't he competing against 2 other NHL cities? Ones that we don't like. So not only are you helping a great
I can tell you where they are.
You're going against 2 teams.
Yeah, you're going against Edmonton, so the Oilers. You don't want anybody from Canada to win.
Hey.
And we're going against a teacher from Pittsburgh. It cannot be a Penguins fan, y'all. It cannot be a Penguins fan.
So we hate Pittsburgh. So you have to vote for Don so that a Pittsburgh Penguins fan and teacher from Pittsburgh does not win. Yeah, definitely.
And I'm going to keep sending you this. I'm going to share it in the comments. But again, he's a fantastic dude. He's a friend of the show. It's for an additional $20,000 for my kids, for the students. You can't beat this. So again, vote from now until Friday.
Please. Real quick. So we're going to get into the topic of the night now. So the term that we're using, or the phrase we're using tonight, pass or fail. Johnny, you might be able to understand this one. You really can't put a grade, an A grade, a B grade on the draft within a few days. We all did it. We all talk about it. Everyone out there does it. But you can't really grade a draft till you really see it. So we're going to term it pass or fail. Do we think, generally speaking, the Eagles pass or fail? If Howie passed or failed on the draft, I'm going to let Mr. Draft himself, Johnny, you go first here. Johnny, pass. I know you're going to be Mr. Positive here and say pass, but I'll let you say it anyway.
To me, it's definitely a pass. I don't see how you can say that it's a fail when you want to get younger. You want to get the players on this roster to – you got veterans on there that's not going to be here in the next couple of years. So you fit positions that those players are at, that they're going to be behind there. And you have to say it's a pass. Unfortunately, a lot of people are upset with some of a pick or two, but to me, it's definitely a pass right now, just because you were able to get these young players. You were able to get, you're getting a group of players that are going to be there for the future, who are going to be depth guys. And we always talked about depth. So definitely for me, it's a pass right now.
Yeah. We can really break down. We're going to get into each pick individually as we go. But Jeff, do you grade it as a pass at this moment or a fail? Or should I have put a third word, incomplete, at this moment?
I'm going to have to say pass right now, just because they were able to go out and get the guy that everyone has been wanting to get. We've been saying from day one they need to go out there and get a playmaker. And for once, Howie Roseman didn't sit back. He didn't sit in his chair and ignore the fans or ignore his scouts or ignore whoever who has input in that team. And they finally went out there and got a playmaker with Devontae Smith. I did grade the draft probably about a B or so. I know I'm not throwing out grades, but I just want to throw my grade out there because
you can definitely throw the grade. I'm going to give you my grade too. Over top of it, I'm
going to throw out as a solid B right now. I understand everyone is upset that the Eagles, and I agree, they probably should address certain positions a little bit higher, like cornerback, like linebacker, which we expected them to go in day 1, day 2, or day 3. The one negativity to their draft that I do feel, despite them getting Devontae Smith, is what have we been saying since the season ended that they need to do in this draft this year and next year? They need to get impact day 1 starters for this franchise. And right now, the only guy that you can say is a day 1 starter out of this draft is Devontae Smith. I feel they built well towards the future. And I think that's the thing that the front office continues to show is that they are built. This ain't going to be a 1-year rebuild. We keep on saying it. And I feel Howie and Jeffrey feel that way too, just by these selections. They go out and get Dickerson, who has the injury history, but if he doesn't have those injuries, he is a first-round talent, and we know the future of Jason Kelce. He's going to be out the door very soon. And so I feel that they're building towards the future, and they didn't get a lot of day 1 talent, but they got quality talent, in my opinion.
Chipper, you're up on deck then. As the teacher, I'll be honest and say I've had classes that were or tests and projects that were pass or fail. So after I made the topic of the night, I realized how much I hate the topic because I hate it when I got a passing grade and did a lot of work and other people did a little work and passed. And in my opinion, they did just enough to pass this time. What are your thoughts?
So, as a teacher, if you use the term pass or fail, you have to go, what's the objective? Did they meet the requirement? So, looking at that, and we have Justin Fields up in here. Hey, Justin. What's up, Justin Fields?
I love it.
How's Chicago?
Good luck in Chicago.
So looking at that as that being your mindset, the objective was to go out and draft players. Yes, they passed. They went out and they drafted players. Now, besides that, I think it was a decent draft. The one thing that I am finally happy to see is that it became very obvious through who they picked that they realized that this is not a 1-year rebuild. They didn't go out and draft players like we were saying that have to be starters, impact players right away, because you know what? This Eagles team is not going to compete legitimately. They're going to NFC East compete. They're not going to legitimately compete this season. So knowing that, they go, okay, this is a 2-year build. We're going to get players that are maybe a year and a half away from being really exceptional NFL players. And that to me says a lot. The Landon Dickerson thing is the big pick because if he's healthy, he'll play. If he's not healthy, he's got a whole nother year to rehab when we'll have more uncertainty on the offensive line. I think it was a good draft for realizing that this is a rebuild year with a lot of question marks.
Okay, so we're going to get into Landon Dickerson in a second. But I just want to throw. I know I got a lot of flack for saying they was like a C+ draft because there's a lot of question marks. But it is a pass. If you look at each individual player in a vacuum, not as a need for this upcoming season, as you all just said, each player does bring. I see 5, 6 guys that we drafted that potentially, because we've got to use that word potentially with draft picks because we'll have to see in 3 years whether this draft works out. But there's a lot of guys that we drafted that have huge upside potential, huge ceilings. There's not a lot of guys that are just going to be solid starters from day 1. There's a lot of guys that are going to be potentially Pro Bowlers, potentially all pros. But on the flip side of the equation, potentially, bust. When we get into Landon Dickerson, we can get into that in a second. But I think it's a pass, a C+. It's not a bit harsh. It's realistic just saying that, there are question marks with some of these guys. And Johnny, we're going to start each pick. We're going to go through each pick individually. You get to go first. I want to know what we've gotten out of each of these guys. So we're going to start, obviously, first pick round. The 10th pick overall in the first round. We trade up 2 spots with the Cowboys. We gave up a 3rd round pick. We don't even have to. We can get into who that pick turned into, but we traded up to get Devontae Smith. And real quick, before you go, I won it at the very beginning, at the end of the season, when we had the 6th spot. It was either Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. That's who I wanted. Kyle Pitts then rose the charts a little bit. But Devontae Smith, I think, is very underrated in this wide receiver class because he kind of got pushed back and kept getting pushed back. So what have we gotten with Devontae Smith?
So Devontae Smith is a playmaker. He's a great route runner. His catching ability is, elite. He can do so many different things for you on an offense. And you saw it playing for Alabama, and you saw it against the top corners in the SEC. People are concerned about his size. I understand that. But if you look at the way he plays the game and the thing is, this isn't the early 2000s. This isn't you go over the middle, you're going to get hit in the head. The offenses are played differently. So for him, he's going to be your X. He's going to be your X. And the Eagles need that because what that does for you is you put your playmaker on the outside there. Then Jalen Reagor can kind of move around. You can get him inside. You can get him to do a number of things. And I feel that I understand Devontae Smith's ability and what he can do, but he's also helped open up different roles, possibly that fit best for your other guys on the offensive side of the ball. So yes, he's a playmaker and what he can do. And he's he could become a star receiver for you that the Eagles haven't had in a number of years. But I think he's helped them in a number of ways, not just what he can do in the field.
So I will say, I don't want to sound like I'm cheating, but I watched someone else's compilation highlight video the other day. Johnny didn't put it together. It was another competitor put it together. I won't shout him out, but I watched
cheating on him.
Competitors. Hey, it popped up on my timeline. I can't help it, So what I want to say, and to address Johnny's thing, and I'll let you Chip and Jeff answer it. If you watch his highlights, he doesn't play as a small wide receiver. He seems and appears when you watch and it's his highlights. Obviously, highlights are there to highlight, the best plays you do. But he seems and appears to be a bigger, stronger wide receiver than his size lets on.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I look at the big number, the 160 pounds, and I'm going to be honest. It scares the hell out of me because I weighed that going into high school, and I was not an NFL
7th grade.
Yeah, I was not an NFL caliber player. Let me just put it that way. So I hear that and I go, all right, well, I don't want him to be broken literally in half. But the one thing that you guys said that's really important is this is not the NFL of yore, which is, when you came across the middle, you got broken in half. So Devonta Smith, you look at him, he's a great route runner. And he's got speed and good hands. He's a number one receiver.
Strong hands.
Right. He's a number one. He's at least a number one weapon. Is somebody that when you put out there with Jalen Hurts can default to this guy.
Jeff, before you answer, don't bring up highlights. Do you want to address that comment or Devontae Smith?
No, because it was brought up in Birds, Beers, and BS. Peanut has a very strong habit of watching YouTube highlights of players that he doesn't know, similar to you look at the Devontae Smith highlights. And he thinks just because they have a great highlight reel on YouTube that every single player is going to be a superstar stud in the NFL, which I can't remember what it was referring to. I don't know if it was referring to Devontae, which I agree, but if it was someone else, but yeah, Devontae Smith, he was the player that the Eagles absolutely need to go out there and get, and not just for his play on the field, but off the field as well. Just listening to his press conference, his confidence level, and the way he has the confidence in himself and his teammates around him. And the one thing I want in a player that comes here in the city of Philadelphia playing for our team is a guy that comes up in big moments as well. And this guy came up in big moments last season and also in national championship football games. So he's played at the highest plateau at the college level, and he knows what it takes to win championships. So
I know you want to say something there, Chip, but I got to ask the team as a whole. You know, it did come up on Twitter that Devontae Smith is a Boston Celtics fan. Can we hold that against him? Because I want to hold it against him.
No.
Okay. Chip, answer. No. I know you wanted to comment on Jeff's.
No, all I was going to say is, look, I know we're not supposed to rely exclusively on where they went to college. I do understand that. However, he went to Alabama. He played against the best of the best, and he played at a superior level. That's got to say something. You know, Alabama, quite honestly, could beat the hell out of some of the really bad teams in the NFL. So he's already played at an NFL level. Now, the rules are different, the 2 feet rule, the contact. We understand that, the difference in talent. But Alabama is a professional program. So for him to come in, for Jalen Hurts to be the guy, there's now a swag in the locker room to combine with the excitement that Sirianni is shoving down our throats.
I was going to ask you a question, Johnny, but go ahead.
I understand where he played school, where he played at college, and who he played up against. That means a little bit, but it doesn't mean everything, because there's players in the NFL. I'll give you Laquan Treadwell, Ole Miss, went to Minnesota Vikings. He was the number 1 receiver coming out of the draft. He slipped down to the Vikings. He hasn't done anything. He played at Ole Miss against top SEC talent. So it all depends on what they can do in the scheme. So, Johnny,
who are we comparing Devontae Smith then to? Like, what would be, in your opinion, the best NFL player currently playing that we could be looking at and be like, this is his? So two questions. This is who he could be, and this is who he most likely at this exact moment is going to be before he fully develops, before he gets an NFL physician and medical team helping him put on muscle and weight and stuff like that. Where he's at and what's his ceiling comparably.
I don't know if there's anyone in the league right now. I'm going with 2 guys that aren't in the league, but guys like Marvin Harrison and Isaac Bruce has the same build. Okay. So it's the same type of build that he had. And,
saying the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go with off of – you can maybe talk about maybe a Deshaun Jackson, but Deshaun Jackson was smaller. And
I think Deshaun Jackson is a totally different style player.
Yeah, he wasn't as polished. I would give Harrison and Bruce, because their route running ability and what they can do is somewhat similar to Devontae Smith.
And when all these people chiming in on Deshaun Jackson, if correct me if I'm wrong, Deshaun Jackson, especially early on, operated more in space. He wasn't that tough catch, go and get it kind of guy.
After the catch.
Yeah, he's still not get open and then caught the ball. Devontae Smith, if you watch his highlight reels, which there's a dozen of them out there from all of our competitors, he'll go up and make the tough catch.
And if you're comparing it to Deshaun Jackson's still not that guy. Deshaun Jackson is, I'm going to run 60 yards past you and catch the ball. Right. He's not a go across the middle. He's not a.
Devontae Smith can do that.
Yes, he can.
Have to do that.
I think Devonta Smith's his skill set is bigger. I just wish he was bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but he plays to a bigger size, and everyone wants to compare Marvin Harrison or Isaac Bruce and all that. Devontae Smith coming out of college is a way better talent than both of those guys. No offense to them. I understand Marvin Harrison's a Hall of Famer, but look, Devontae Smith last season, 117 catches, over 1,800 yards, and 23 touchdowns in his senior year coming out of college in Alabama. Look, he arguably was not. Besides Trevor Lawrence, arguably the best college football player out of any position last season besides Trevor Lawrence.
Look, I know we got 8 more guys to get into here in this long episode here. Most of them will breeze through the second half of the draft and all.
Yeah, no one cares about that.
Real quick, can we agree when we wrap up as a team here? Maybe we can't. I don't know. We very rarely all agree. But Devontae Smith is so much more exciting of a draft pick. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Jalen Reagor. But Jalen Reagor is a first-round pick last year, which we missed out on Justin Jefferson. We're not going to be – can we agree that, or at least discuss that, we're not going to be looking at the Devontae Smith and be like, damn, I wish we took somebody else that was taken, Like, we didn't make a mistake with this pick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, looking at the pick, it's even if, worst comes to worst, he does become a bust, right? If he does not have success in the NFL, worst comes to worst. And we're not going to look back and go, oh, well, there was all these questions. But this was the right pick. This was the right pick. It wasn't a reach.
And
it wasn't a surprise. We traded back. Pick. We traded up. We got the extra pick. It was good. I'm going to say it quietly so no one hears me, but Howie did a good job.
Howie did the right decision, and it's not like there was a debate in the Eagles' war room. It was pretty much a unanimous decision that Devontae Smith at number 10 was the guy to go with once Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn were off the board.
They screwed over the Giants.
Let's not talk about the war room. For George, our loyal listener, I got a question later on in the show about the war room and the fist pumps and all. Let's save that topic. Johnny, round 2. Oh, sorry. You want to talk more about Devontae Smith? That's okay.
The last tidbit I'll say is he wanted to go one-on-one in practice with Patrick Surtain, who was the top corner from Alabama. He likes the competition. He loves that. It fuels him. That's another thing that you can't just have someone. You can't teach someone that. If they either have it or they don't. So that competitive fire that he has, I like that as well.
I love it. I'm happy. Obviously, I wanted Micah Parsons, and it kills me to see Micah Parsons go to the Cowboys. We'll break down the Cowboys, the Giants, the Reds, the Washington football team on their individual shows as we get ready for the season. But we're talking Eagles right now. I got crushed round 2, pick 37 overall. I trashed the pick instantly. I tried to pull it back a little bit because it's not that I dislike the potential of the player. At pick 37, they took another, and we're going to blame Eric Kratz of Sports Illustrated. He said, and he asked Howie, why don't you draft the Alabama guys? So at the first 2 picks, he drafted Alabama guys. Landon Dickerson, center/guard, technically /tackle, because I'm pretty sure he played all 5 positions on the offensive line last year. Yeah. Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey's replacement. And before I throw it to Johnny, there was still Christian Barmore on the board. There was still cornerbacks Kelvin Joseph and Asante Samuel Jr. on the board. And I got bashed because as Edward here is saying on Facebook, Sidney Jones 2.0, you're taking a guy that has had 4 to 5 season-ending injuries with that pick. If he's healthy, he could be one of the best centers of all time. But there is a huge if for a team that has 100 holes to take a guy that has that much risk when there's other players that could have filled an immediate role, but also a long-term role. I don't want people to think I was only looking for the immediate. I was looking long-term and our holes on defense. Johnny, what do you have to say about Landon Dickerson?
So Dickerson played the last 24 to 26 games with Alabama, transferred from Florida State. So Absolutely. He transferred in from Florida State, played 24 to 26. He got hurt in the SEC championship game. And then also, if you remember, he did go out on the final play. He was in uniform for the national championship game, even though he wasn't playing. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Because nobody says or gives that excuse to Carson Wentz getting hurt in the playoffs. They still say he got hurt that season. He played a full 16 games, but he still got hurt. So nobody gave Carson the excuse there. I'm just sidetracking. He still got hurt that season.
I understand that, but 6'6", 330 plus pounds, and center guard, a nasty player, will hit you in the mouth. I understand he got hurt, a knee injury. I understand that. But for me, the upside of this is huge. This isn't Sidney Jones 2.0. Sidney Jones wasn't the type of player that Landon Dickerson was. And the other thing with Asante Samuel, if his name wasn't Asante Samuel Jr., people wouldn't be clamoring for him in the second round. I'm sorry. A lot of people go a little bit too much with the name and don't go with, what they can do totally on the field. He's not a terrible player. He's a good player, but to them, I think the value is what the Eagles do. What do? They value the trenches. So they felt a player here who is a top 20 prospect, the best interior offensive lineman in the draft, dropping down to 37. And I was texting with Jeff talking about JOK as well, who apparently dropped because he had a heart issue. So there's reasons players drop. Dickerson dropped because of the injuries. We know that. But for me, you take a chance in the second round on a player like this, and to me, I like it because it's risk reward, and it's always going to be like that after the first round usually. But for me, the risk isn't as bad as what the reward can be for you.
Jeff, I don't know if you want to comment on he's Sidney Jones 2.0 or not, that the cornerbacks would have been a reach. If you're happy with, like, I don't even know which question to phrase towards you on Landon Dickerson, but you know, there's too many things bobbled up in here in my head right now.
Look, I understand Dickerson was not the flashy pick, especially with the needs that we continue to say that the Eagles need to address on the defense side of the football. And when there's Barrymore and the cornerback still available or Jock still available, I understand the frustration. But Rome was not built in a day. This ain't going to be a 1-year turnaround. They are not going to be able to address every big position in 1 year. This is going to be a long-term rebuild like we keep on bringing up. And ultimately, in their eyes, they felt the value was better there for him in the second round for a potential first-round talent, the build for the future. Because we probably know that Jason Kelce, this is his last season. The only thing with the Dickerson pick that I am a little not skeptical about, like I said, we were looking for day one starters, and he has a potential to be a starter at right guard over Sayamalu, or left, whichever side Sayamalu is typically on. Left, okay. I feel he has a strong chance to take that job, but there's no guarantee. And I would say this is, like Johnny said, one of the best offensive linemen in all of draft. If it wasn't for his injury issues, I think in like over 800 snaps, this kid has only given up 1 sack in his college career. So the one issue we had last year was pass protection, whether it was the line or the quarterback hanging on the ball too long. He's definitely a guy that brings you that depth and that upgrade. And we'll wait and see before we pass judgment. I understand it wasn't the flashiest pick, but it was a solid pick that they're obviously looking to build for the future.
Flashy pick aside, it's still an injury issue with this guy.
But the thing is, yes, he has injury problems, but he's not a skilled position. He's not a cornerback. He's not a linebacker. He's not a wide receiver. Yes, these injuries are difficult, but okay.
I was setting you up for that one because I know everyone's like, oh, because he's a lineman, injury issues, it's different. I got you.
It's still a little skeptical. It's still
skeptical. Chip, I'm going to let you go in a second here, but hold on. How many different offensive line configurations did we have last year? And how much on this show, all our followers, which we love all of you that are watching. If you're watching, click share, quick retweet. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the show out so more people can join the conversation and vote for Don Conway. I love it. But it's still a valid concern, the injury, isn't it, Chip?
So that's my biggest issue. And my initial reaction to the pick was I absolutely hated it because of the injuries. Just because of the injuries. Having an offensive lineman who has missed 4 of the last 5 seasons, that's a problem. Like, we already have injuries along the offensive line. Why are we adding a player that is coming in with injuries? So then, because once you do your initial thing, you take a step back and you go, okay, first-round talent, if healthy. And that phrase is becoming my absolute hated phrase in Philadelphia sports. If healthy, this guy is this. If healthy, this guy is that. Look, if healthy, Landon Dickerson is going to be an absolute insane draft pick, and it's going to make Howie look like a goddamn genius.
Yep.
However, we have a questionable medical staff, like Don just said. We have an aging, injured offensive line. So simply adding an extra piece to that is a concern. I want him to do well. I want him to become the starting center and an all-pro and a Hall of Famer. I really do. It's just this is the one pick for me that I look at and I go, wow, it's another second round that is right away seems wasted. Because remember, last year we felt like the Jalen Hurts pick was a waste. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was a waste. Sidney Jones was a waste.
Let's go back. Johnny, I know you want to comment here. Jump in. So
they talk about the medical staff. They've changed the medical staff. My thing about it, but here's my theory on it. Take it as you want. But When you got a head coach in Doug Peterson, how hard is he making the team practice? How hard is he pushing the guys in practice? If you're just willy-nilly, just lackadaisical in practice, not really, and then the game you have to go full force, injuries can happen that way because you're not training your body like game conditions during practice. And
right, and actually, that was
teams aren't having issues. A lot of other teams aren't having the injury type of issues Eagles have had. The last 3 years, at least.
Right, and that's one thing that I was going to add on because look, we know they've changed the medical staff. We know that we're the most often injured team in the entire damn league. That so much so that we got saddled with Jamone Brown for a minute. But
we just threw another injured guy that can create more opportunities for more Jamone Brown types.
Don't you dare. What I think is going to be very telling this season is, again, because it's still a lot of the same players, a lot of the same older gentlemen. If this team plays healthier, and again, I know there's more workouts, I know there's training camp, I know there's more opportunity. If this team stays healthier, then you have to go, it was the way Peterson was running practice. So there is an opportunity here to go, maybe it's not the training staff's fault. A small one, but it's there.
We're going to learn, Mike, that's a great point, or Chip, that's a great point. We're going to, I was reading a text message too, sorry. Sorry, I'm multitasking here. Great point. We're going to learn a lot about Doug Peterson and whether it was his fault or not.
He's not there.
Yeah, because he's not there and all. So, you guys have all said it. Jeff has said it a bunch of times. Next pick, round 3, pick 73, Milton Williams, Louisiana Tech, defensive lineman. That pick, just as much as the Landon Dickerson pick, has shown that this is more than a one-year rebuild. The people like me that think that it was a retool where we make a few minor changes and we compete, it's not happening because, again, you're building through the interior line and out. As Howie Roseman has said multiple times, that's how they won the Super Bowl, building from the interior and then out. Milton Williams proves what Jeff said multiple times. This is a rebuild, a multi-year thing, that this is a pick, Landon Dickerson and Milton Williams, that shows that. Right, guys?
Yeah. Milton Williams gives you he can play both positions. He can be like a Malik Jackson type end tackle, 6'3", 284, super athletic. And the funny thing was, if you looked at his, like his short shuttle, his, a couple of his testing scores, it's the same. His broad jump, everything.
Don't say it. Don't say it because he is not AD.
No, I'm saying he's matched up with Eric Stokes, who was the first round pick, a cornerback, a much smaller, almost 100 pounds heavier than him. And for me, you look at Fletcher Cox, you look at Hargrave isn't super young. He's 28. Fletcher Cox is, his contract every year is going to be higher and higher and higher. How much longer is he going to be here? Same thing with the other positions. They're getting pieces behind these guys to learn. And I think Milton Williams is going to be a guy that's going to surprise some people. And he may get into the rotational depth of that defensive line. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with the blend of athleticism that he has and what he can do. I know they like to compare him. I know what you said, AD. I'm not comparing him to anybody. He's going to be his own
player. A lot
of
people are dropping the AD name with Milton Williams. And it really, really upset me because that's a special breed of player.
Well, right there, Aaron Donald. You're putting him up to a level that give the kid some time to develop into a player. He's a young player. He needs to develop. And the way I like when they made that pick and Jonathan Gannon was, if you saw the video, he was literally clapping like you couldn't believe. So to me, I like that pick. I know I don't know, Phil, if you want to bring it up, the whole War Room, Tom Donahoe crap with it. But
I was going to bring it up, but I was going to hold it off till later. But we'll bring it up now before we get into the rest of it. So, Chip, you didn't really get to comment on Milton Williams here, but
we'll get into
it. So far on the draft, the pass or fail on the draft up to this point and going forward in the rest of this show. Now, George, one of our great followers, George, I can't say his last name properly, so I'm not going to say
Theodosius.
No, that's for a teacher to say. I can't pronounce names.
Theodosis.
George T. I love George. He sent me a message tonight, and he wanted a question brought up. So we're going to, flip the Milton Williams conversation into George's question.
We are not prepared.
If we did, well, I don't want you guys prepared. I want instant reactions. Since you said that, since you interrupted the teacher asking the question, Jeff goes first. Jeff, if we did not see the fist pump issue, would we be happier or unhappier? Would it have changed your opinion on pick 3, pick 2, pick 4, on the draft as a whole?
It wouldn't
Did that shape your opinion, that video?
No, it didn't shape my opinion for the draft as a whole, because once again, even with the second round pick with Dickerson at center, you're still questionable as an Eagles fan of why they're not addressing the defense side of the football with the talent that was there. Now, once you dive in and look into some of this and some of these picks, you get it and understand it. I understand the reasoning apparently behind why the scout was a little upset is because the Eagles traded back 3 or 4 selections from that pick, not expecting the New York Giants, who picked the defensive tackle prior to the draft, to make another selection there and take another defensive tackle that apparently the Eagles were looking at.
There was the cornerback, Aaron Robinson from UCF, that the Giants selected that surprise. Or the Lions defensive tackle at 8.
Yeah, I knew there was a defensive lineman that they were looking at that someone took ahead of them that they did not expect them to take.
Milton Williams is better than Lee McNeil. So
Chip, would your opinion have changed without seeing that video?
So I'll be honest, I didn't watch the 3rd round picking of it because I was umpiring on a baseball field. So as I got it, I went, okay, who's Milton Williams? So I got all my information before seeing that. And from what I saw, and I actually talked with Adam on my show on Monday night, and I said, look, talk to me about this draft. And he goes, the draft didn't really break the way the Eagles needed it to for them to get the picks that, everybody wanted them to get, but they still had a good draft. And like George is saying, it happens all the time.
That's what I was going to say.
Everybody has their guys, including Philadelphia fans, and we've already touched on this. Everybody wanted JOK. Everybody wanted Asante Samuel Jr. Everybody wanted Jabril Cox. Why? Because those were the big names. Only 3 teams got those guys. So you're telling me that there's another 29 teams that are furious because they didn't get – no, they weren't guys that were highly valued. So you have to trust that they know what they're doing in there. It's a 3rd round pick. You want him to get the field this season, but you're also not expecting Milton Williams to be a dominant force this season. But I'm fine with it.
But the thing is, and the reason why I understand Eagles fans are getting frustrated is we go into this draft and realizing what our needs are and hoping that the front office realizes what their needs are, that they're going to address early on in the draft. And then we'll get into it because I know we're going to talk about the division and all that, but you look at the Dallas Cowboys, a team that had a defense that was an absolute shambles last season, address the defensive side of the football. Yes. They don't care. First round, they get Micah Parsons. They don't care that they just drafted a linebacker. Then they get Jabril Cox in the third, 4th round, whatever round it was. Yeah, they're still addressing the needs that they need to address for this upcoming season that they feel are players that are going to make immediate impacts or make some type of contribution. Not saying that Williams isn't, but he's going to be a rotational guy. He's not taking the job from Fletcher Cox or Hargrave unless they're injured.
And that for me was my biggest thing, is that as the draft started falling, I know we needed corners. I know we needed linebackers. So for this team to get 1 corner, 1 safety, and an outside linebacker in the 7th round, to me, that, again, as the fan, that is not putting a high enough value on positions that were drastically weaker. Now, again, I'm a fan. I'm sitting at home. I have already judged this team on what they need. The scouting department said otherwise, and they pick players knowing that it's a 2-year rebuild, knowing that next season with 2 to 3 first-round picks, they can fill some of those holes then, because this season it's not a throwaway, but it's NFC East division title or nothing.
Johnny.
Where are we going to the 4th round pick?
Sorry.
For the 4th round.
I was expecting a little. I was throwing you a line and I didn't get it. No, it's all right.
I
gave
my insight.
No. You're muted. Chip, you get to start on Zach McPherson, Texas Tech cornerback, round 4, pick 123. Again, we finally address one of the big elephants in the room, cornerback, with this pick. Some people like it. Some people don't. Some people are indifferent. Before Johnny gives the breakdown because he lost his turn there.
That's where I'm at with that pick. I'm indifferent. You know, he's a cornerback out of Texas Tech that was picked in the 4th round. I don't expect him to be, starting against the number 2 guy because Darius Slay's on the other side. I don't expect him to be that guy. I think this team still is, even with the Zach McPherson pick, lacking a complementary corner for Darius Slay. Zach McPherson isn't it. Maybe he develops into something. Maybe he doesn't. I'm indifferent there.
Jeff, is it Zach or Zach?
It's Zach.
Zach. Because it's Zachariah, though.
I don't know. I just know the way everyone says the way it's supposed to be pronounced is Zach. But look, he once again, he's gonna be a development. He's gonna be a guy that they're gonna need to develop. I can't speak tonight, but the reason why people are a little bit indifferent with him is because once again, we're looking at the cornerback position, hoping that we can get someone that can be the number 2 corner opposite of Darius Slay. And right now, a lot of the analysts feel that he is not that guy. He's more suitable in the slot. Granted, he was graded out as one of the best zone coverage cornerbacks last season in all of college football, which is exactly what Gannon needs for his defense. But he's not going to be a guy that I feel is going to be that much of a difference maker day one. Once again, he's going to be a guy that's probably going to be fighting for a lot of time as the starting slot corner or backup guy.
Johnny, now you're on. Tell us about Zachariah, whatever it is, McPherson. The big cornerback that we selected there in the 4th round.
He is a former Penn State cornerback. Throw that out there. But before I get to that, I wanted to bring up a number. Phil, you said something about the day 3 guys. There's really nothing that wow you and stuff like that.
You're paraphrasing, but okay.
Well, the thing is, since 2010, if you look at the Super Bowl starters from the winning team, 47% of them were drafted in the 4th round or later.
When though? How soon were they starting in the Super Bowl? Were they 5-year vets that had time to develop, or were they guys that were drafted a year or 2 prior that were making a contribution?
Doesn't matter. They were drafted late.
It does matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does
because they're drafted late. 47% are
47%. I want to see it. I want to see a spreadsheet on it. But okay.
I'll send it to you later. So Zach McPherson,
and he will too,
because there's like 7 rounds that we're talking about, or 4 rounds that we're talking about here. 30 some teams. There's a lot of picks. 47 players. 47%.
Also undrafted guys, players who aren't drafted as well.
So you're not looking for NFL starters immediately in that point. You're taking a crapshoot at that point. That's all I said. I said you're taking a crapshoot at that point. You're not looking for immediate day 1 starters at that point. And other people have agreed with me on that.
That's okay. You're looking for traits that you can develop. It's about development. So if you can develop these
players,
the
Eagles don't develop well. At least
haven't yet. They didn't. Again, we're going to learn a lot.
Great point.
We're going to learn a lot this season. This year has got to be chalked up to a learning experience. Was it the coaching staff that kept getting these players injured? Was it the coaching staff that underdeveloped these players? You have got to give Nick Sirianni a chance to put in what he believes the best football philosophy with these new players.
But like I said, 47%. Now getting to McPherson, he's fit like a slot guy, possibly an outside guy. But for me, they're going to fill their need either the trade route or if a veteran is released or then the free agency right now. That's where they're going to get the other corner. Zach McPherson is not going to come in and be your number 2 guy. And that's like the other thing that don't be surprised if they sign 2 corners and you wind up seeing possibly an Avonte Maddox traded. There's possibilities there too. And McPherson right now, a special teamer and working in the slot, possibly can play, like Jeff said, the zone scheme and what he's fit for what the defense they want to run. But this is a they drafted this guy on the traits that he has and how he fits the defense to mold him into a better player. And that's what you're going to see with the rest of this draft. That's what it's about. It's not about picking Donnell Pumphrey, who is small and plays small. You're not doing that. You're trying to get value out of each and every one of these picks.
Right.
All right.
And
So
I do think you learn.
You're muted. We got to speed this process up.
Almost an hour.
Dude, we're at 48 minutes here, and we're only through 4 of the 9 picks. That's enough, Zach McPherson. He ain't starting day one. We know that. Okay. We're gonna spend each 1 minute. You're each gonna get 1 minute. I'm gonna time you 1 minute to what I think is the steal of the draft for the Eagles, Kenneth Gainwell, and then we're gonna get onto the 6th and 7th round picks. So, Chip, since you're gonna talk anyway,
yeah, this is my
talk about the guy that I think is already the number 2 running back on this team, Kenneth Gainwell, running back from Memphis.
Yeah, agreed. This is my very favorite pick of the draft, of the developmental section of the draft. He is
favorite value.
Absolutely. Yeah, you look at some of the running backs.
Obviously, a better player.
Stop taking my minute. Look, you are.
Timer starts now.
So you're talking about Memphis and a program that's really produced some good running backs, and he's better than all of them. You know what I mean? He's going to be a weapon coming out of the backfield. He's going to be a weapon as a receiver. Now, here's a guy who has the ability to give Miles Sanders some breaks and do them productively. Like, you're not going to see a drastic drop-off like you do when you see Boston Scott on the field. This is a situation where Gainwell is kind of like a 1A, 1B kind of guy. It's going to help.
You got like 12 more seconds, Chip, if you want.
I don't need him. He's great. He's my very favorite.
Yeah, I agree. Not just the steal for the Eagles, but the steal of the whole entire draft, possibly. This is a kid that will complement Miles Sanders very well, who, again, only has 2 years left on his rookie deal. So if he doesn't pan out over the next 2 seasons. What?
Nothing. I was trying to subliminally tell messages there. Don't worry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But the one thing is that he does a little bit better than Miles Sanders, at least from what we've seen on tape, is not just pass catching and also pass blocking. I don't know if you guys saw the video that was surfacing after we selected him, but him laying Micah Parsons on his ass in one of those games.
One block. He's okay.
Still, he's still fucking
still did it.
He laid out the videos. That was the 12th overall pick in the draft, one of the best linebackers in the draft. He put him on his ass. So obviously, I'm not saying he's perfect, but he's a guy that can definitely come in there and provide something that Miles Sanders kind of lacks right now in our system.
Wait, here's my last 12 seconds. I want to time in. Every single person that I have heard have said that they are shocked that he fell all the way to the 5th round. He had a 3rd round grade.
Yeah.
You got that in 10 seconds. Great job. So Johnny Gruden-Uleka, thoughts on Kenneth Gainwell?
Great pick. 5'8", 201, can catch the ball in the backfield. The thing that he dropped is because he opted out last year. He had a great 2019. He dropped, him opting out, I think really affected his draft stock, which, hey, and it works in the Eagles' favor here, being able to get him at pick 150. So I think this is a great fit. Works perfectly. It may spell the end of Boston Scott. He may not have a spot if Gainwell really shows you something, and it's Kenny Gainwell. He likes to be called Kenny, I heard. So
yeah,
we're all for Kenny Gainwell.
I'd appreciate if he gains well when he gets the ball.
There we go.
Not funny. All right. So I put out a poll question earlier this week on Twitter about the steal of the draft, or who was going to be your surprise of the draft. And I knew a lot of people. I didn't put Kenneth Gainwell in the options because I knew a lot of people would mention him. But we're looking at the 6th and 7th round picks, which we didn't take all 11 picks. We traded some of our picks away. We traded a 6th and a 7th to Washington, was it, I believe, for a 5th round pick next year, which is a good deal because next year's draft class is a little deeper in a lot of positions. Yeah. So we've got 4 picks left. We got Marlon, Tuipulotu. I don't know. I can't say those kind of names. Defensive tackle USC, Taron Jackson, defensive end, Coastal Carolina, Jacoby Stevens, safety from LSU, and Patrick Johnson, linebacker / end / edge rusher, whatever you want to call him, from Tulane. Johnny, who is going to be your sleeper of those 4? Because out of those 4, there's a chance 2 of them don't make the team. In our rebuild, most of them may, but in a normal season, a normal situation, 2 of those guys may only make the team. Where's your surprise out of those 4?
I'm not going to go with the guy that I mentioned. I'm going to go with the guy that I like, that I talked on my draft show, Teron Jackson from Coastal Carolina. I absolutely love him as a prospect. You get him in the 6th round. He was going to go probably 6th, 7th round range. Super high motor. He's not the biggest guy, but he's full on effort. He's a guy that gets to the quarterback. He showed it relentlessly at Coastal Carolina. He needs some time to mold, of course, but I feel that it's a great value in the 6th round. And the Eagles, they need pass rush help. We know the Brandon Grahams and the Derek Barnetts and how long these guys are going to be here. You need pass rush help to be able to develop them. And Tracy Rocker, who's the defensive line coach, I like what he's done with many prospects that he's worked with over the years in college. And I feel Teron Jackson is a prospect that fits that. I love that pick. I think that's it could be a super surprise for the Eagles.
Chipper?
Mine is Jacoby Stevens. Again, LSU. So we're talking again. I know I put a lot of stock on where they play. I do, but played at LSU. Was in the top 2 of tackles on the team for the last couple of seasons. So they're moving him right away to linebacker. So it's that fluidity in positioning. So it's the idea of, well, he's a safety, he's also a linebacker, kind of like that Kayvon Wallace mentality. I think he's a ball hawk. I think that he's 9 interceptions. I'm looking at some of his stats at high school. He's a good ball player. He's a good ball player. So 6th round, good ball player. I'm cool with that. I like the Jacoby Stevens pick.
Cool. Jeffrey, your thoughts on those last 4 picks?
Yeah, I'm going the same route as Chip there. Look, Jacoby Stevens, he had a solid 40 time, solid broad jump, and he brings you that versatility that the Eagles love so much in their players. So it's going to be interesting to see how Gannon uses him, if they're going to use him at like Joker role or bring him on different blitz packages just because of his speed. But yeah, he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on come training camp. I do feel he does make the roster, and he might compete for some game time. If not, he's going to be definitely a good special teams performer for them.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm gonna use my Jacoby Stevens, since you both just said it, also on Patrick Johnson. I like both of those picks in general more than the top 2 picks in the 6th round, Jackson and Marlin, because they're more position flexible. Yeah. And if you look at it, safety linebacker, Patrick Johnson is an edge / linebacker. There's less competition for them to stand out than a Marlon Tupelota at defensive tackle, which is now, on top of, who we have in Milton Williams now, a stacked position on this team. So those 2 guys have a better chance to stand out, in my opinion. Do you guys agree on that philosophy there?
Yeah,
I do.
I don't know. The Tui Pelotu as a nose tackle run stuffer, he can possibly make some headway, but the steal of the draft, you think I was bad with Adrian Killins? Just wait till I start talking about Jamie Newman.
Go ahead.
You brought up Adrian Killins, so I just.
Okay, we have 4 minutes.
I need like a 30-second where I don't have to talk kind of thing, because I just need to
unwind.
Yeah, I just need to stop thinking for a second.
Hey, are you Newman?
Go ahead, talk about Jamie Newman. You're literally salivating. We made you wait 55 minutes.
Are you telling us that he's going to take over Hurts's role as starter now?
I was going to say, do we want to comment on any of the undrafted free agents, Johnny?
I don't know who the hell.
I'm talking about Jamie Newman.
Are going to make the team, right?
I'll give you 2 guys to look out for. I'll just give you 2. Of course, Jamie Newman. He transferred to Georgia and he opted out. If he never opted out, it's the same thing with the Kenny Gainwell. His draft stock took a hit because he opted out, because he played 1 season at Wake Forest, 1.5 seasons at Wake Forest. And then the big transfer to Georgia, didn't play. And then Trevon Grimes, the wide receiver everyone's seeing on Twitter, 6'4", 212. So those are 2 guys.
So to recap, we all 4 agree that Howie Roseman at the moment passed on the draft. But on the flip side of the equation, we would grade it all differently, because it's incomplete until you look 3 years from now. and we have to see the full picture of the full rebuild, right?
And hopefully more than 2 players are still on the roster after 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just hope we don't have an Ortega-Whiteside or a Sidney Jones in this group.
And that's for me. I felt better about last draft class than I did this draft class as a whole. I think the first round pick was better this year.
So I do have a question. We have one other quick topic to get into in a second here, but I do have to say, it just popped in my head. We keep talking about the surprises and who might break out of this group. Who has the potential? You get like 3 seconds each, not a full minute, like 3 seconds each. Who has the potential to be the biggest disappointment out of this group?
Landon Dickerson.
The biggest because he's gonna right there. It's the highest ceiling. It's the lowest floor.
Right, because he has the ability to not even get on the field due to injuries.
That's perfectly said. Jeff?
I was going to say Devontae. Just because he's your 10th overall pick, you trade up to get him. Granted, Howie made the right choice in getting him, but ultimately, how often do we develop first-round wide receivers into Pro Bowl talent? It doesn't typically happen now.
How often do we develop wide receivers, period?
Or players in general over the last 5 years.
Players in general.
So, Devontae, nothing against him. It's going to be interesting to see if this coaching staff can develop their talent properly to make immediate impact.
Johnny?
I agree.
Dickerson is Smith, somebody else?
I agree. It's Smith. I agree with Jeff.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. Last question. NFL.com updated their power rankings post-draft. I don't want to go into the whole power rankings. We're already way too deep into this show. But the NFC East as a whole, the Cowboys are the number 1 ranked team in the overall power rankings on NFL.com. But they're ranked 21st overall in the league. The Giants are 22nd overall in the league. The Washington football team is 24th, and the Eagles are 25th. So 21, 22, 24, and 25. Is it fair, the criticism that the NFC East is getting? Is somebody in that NFC East not getting enough credit? Or is this just where we're at as a division in football?
I feel it's about right. Look, this is a what have you done for me lately type of league. And the fact that none of these teams were able to have a 500 record a season ago. And yeah, they made some improvements through free agency and also through the draft, but it's a lot of wait and see game. You don't know how these draft picks are going to pan out. You don't know how these free agents are going to come back. The Dallas Cowboys, they probably should be maybe a little bit higher because they're getting Dak back, but you don't know what type of player, if he's going to be that same franchise quarterback coming off that major injury. So I feel it's reasonable rankings coming from what our division was a year ago and what so far these teams have done this offseason so far.
Johnny?
I think, you have to you can't take too much into what these rankings are. I kind of expected them to be like that. My thing is just going in, when everything finished up going to training camp, you see, I'm not expecting much out of this division, except for I feel like possibly 2 teams may lead the race. But for me, I don't take anything in the power ranking, especially, May 5th? Yeah. I don't take any.
I will tell you.
Yeah, I agree with that comment. Yeah. That was best comment.
Digging a little deeper into this, I will tell you that the NFL clearly doesn't feel that it makes or breaks you through the NFL draft, because the biggest move was the 49ers moving from 12 to 9. Besides that, it's 1 or 2 spaces down.
Trey Lance really made that a difference there.
Right. So what I'm saying is that they're basically, as Jeff said, saying, all right, where did you finish the season? All right, you didn't get exponentially. They're saying that no team got night and day drastically better. So therefore, you're still towards the bottom half of the league because the NFC East is garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. Did we lose Johnny there for a second?
Yeah, he says
you gotta look at the private chat. His internet's lagging.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. All right. So let's wrap this show up here for the night. We all think it was a pass. We're all indifferent. We got a long off season coming here. Lots of different shows, different topics coming up.
But next,
when all the great guests come on our show, it's where last year when we were first starting out, we were getting all these great guests. This is what we love. This is the off season where we're fishing for topics and ideas.
Next week, one of my favorite nights of the all off season is the NFL schedule release. So definitely tune in next week. We'll be, dude. You need to figure out all the road games where it lines up. Dude,
if we can't figure out what these people are going to be without seeing a preseason game or a training camp, we can't predict the schedule.
Oh no, we're doing our way too early record predictions next week. 100%.
What's worse, the early prediction of the record or the early prediction of the 53-man roster?
I'm 53-man roster. That's awful.
Let's jump in on that.
Look, I'm not saying I'm not one of those people that dissects into like wins and losses. I'm dissecting in where's the tough part of the schedule. Where's there going to be like 3 straight road games, the divisional matchups, scheduling my road trips or which games I'm going to.
Oh, because you're worried about your schedule, your travel schedule, where you're going to be reporting on the road. Back to the post game shows, right?
Sure.
Yeah, as you said, it's a rebuild, not a retool like I say, a rebuild like you guys say. The schedule next week release means jack crack. Unless they're playing on Thanksgiving or Christmas or a holiday where I've got some –
no more ruining my holidays.
Yeah, as long as they're not interrupting my holidays, the schedule means nothing next week. But anyway, let's wrap this party up. Let's close it all out here. We'll get into our thanking our sponsors in a second. Thank you to everybody commenting and joining the show. George, Ryan, Don, Peanut, all the people that were jumping on throughout the show. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure, as I said Don's name, Chip was perfectly ready with the comment. Vote Don, teacher, because we don't want the Oilers or the Penguins to win. Not just because Don's a great teacher, but because he's going up against a Pittsburgh Penguins teacher. We don't want anybody from Pittsburgh winning anything. So let's do that.
And guys, I can't stress enough how easy it is to do this. There's the site. You can vote. You can vote through every possible which way. Like go through Facebook, then go through Twitter. Hell, if you still have your MySpace password, go through that. I'm just saying, every vote really does matter, and it's from now through Friday. So please, please, please vote. Help out Don. He's a great guy.
Agreed. Show lineup coming up. I really don't have any show lineup because it's changing, fluctuating now that the football season's over. I asked Jeff when Peanut was going to record his next thing. Peanut, I know you're listening. He's like, Peanut changes his mind every other day. When he's going to record his Birds, Beer, and BS YouTube show.
We typically record it
Friday, Saturday. You'll see Birds, Beer, and BS on YouTube, right?
Yeah, typically we record Friday. The reason we did this past Saturday is because we did not want to miss the second and third round of the draft, and we figured it would give us a little bit more content.
Excuses.
Yeah, excuses.
Peanut, get on a schedule, damn it.
I told him, once the season actually starts, we have to stick to a strict schedule.
There you go. So Sunday, not Saturday, the draft show. It's no longer live. It's going to be exclusively on YouTube. AAT Birds, draft show, Johnny and Tom. They're going to be dropping it about Sunday regularly. Again, more people that can't give me a definitive answer. I love definitive answers, but I'm not getting it from, Johnny, Tom, Peanut, or Jeff. That's fine. But they're on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's important to do. We got a lot of YouTube exclusive content. Mondays, we know Mondays is Chips and Dish. I don't know if it's 8 or 8:30 because I don't know your.
I'm umpiring this week. I am umpiring this week. It'll be 8:30, 8:45. Right. Yep.
Do you have any guests lined up for it?
Not this week, but in 2 weeks, me and Scotty are going to do a big NBA playoff preview.
Well, cannot wait. I got questions for you that I'll throw for you for that episode.
Come on in. We'll push it to not. Tell you what, we'll push it to 9 that week, and that way you can join as well.
Oh, I got great questions for the playoffs there. And as I'm making fun of the Chips and Dish and Birds, Beer, and BS, and, of course, the Draft Talk Show, this week there might be a slight scheduling change to Fairway to Heaven. I'm going to be in Florida this week. So is Jason. We're going down to Clearwater this week. So we're recording the show from Clearwater on the beach. We're just not sure what time we're going to be recording the show. And it's going to be
4.
What?
4? 4?
Yeah, 4. I don't know. We'll see what the wives allow us to do from the beach and how long our show is. We'll get to that. But that's always on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. But we're going to tweak it this week only. It's okay. And, of course, we'll be all right back here Wednesday next week, 9:15 p.m. with the weekly report. I don't know what next week will bring, but we do know we'll be talking about the schedule release. I mean, that's all, I mean, although Howie always likes to throw us a curveball on what to talk about, right?
Always. You know what the positive about being a podcast for the Eagles is that you don't really have an off season.
You don't.
And that's a positive.
At all. All right, let's thank our sponsors one final time. oddsjam.com. It's an arbitrage calculator site. They basically help you beat the book to an extent. I don't want to use that term because it kind of gives it a negative connotation, but it basically helps you calculate the odds, how you can make bets and not lose. Statement games, fun, free, new way to look at fantasy. Great site. Check them out. Sign up at the link in the info section on these shows. 99jerseys.com. I know, exactly. I can't spin in my chair like you do, Chip. Great site. Use AAT Birds as the promo code, 20% off at checkout. Great jerseys. I got my Sugar Shane Falco. He's got his Bobby Boucher shirt on right there.
Mama said that. Mama said that.
We're going to get two more sponsors. aatbirds.com/shop. Our stores where you get our great gear like the 5th place Phenom from Fairway to Heaven and all our other great stuff. Hold on. I wasn't prepared for that, but, I was going to throw up some of our great designs. Nobody likes us. We do care. AAT Birds, Fairway to Heaven, 5th place Phenom, all the great gear we got on the site. And finally, because it's a great segue to close the show out, Manscaped, manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Your wives, like Jennifer, will thank you. Jennifer won't thank us. Jennifer will thank Jeff. That I just want to make sure I clarify that right there. Manscaped.com, AAT Birds, get you 20% off and free shipping. And as we close the show, I am Phil Stifle. Johnny disappeared. He went into the internet world. He's gone. Now you see me. Now you don't. We got Chip Keggy. We got, Jeff Warner. We are all about the Birds Network. AAT Birds on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We end every show. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBIRDS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.